Hi, everybody out there in YouTube land. I am guided, really, they're a little bit pushy, but anyway, I am guided to do a video today for you. And the title of the video is called How Do You Know If You're Psychic? So, boy, this is a really interesting topic because as for me personally, I could see ghosts, I could see energies, I could see dead people, I could see energies from other galaxies or other dimensions, but and I could do this my whole life. But I never thought I was psychic. It's really funny, isn't it? Because you think in your head, well, if I'm psychic, well, first of all, I'm going to get the numbers to the lotto, right? I mean, that's the first thing everybody wants. That's the first thing everybody thinks about. But the truth of the matter is that that's not going to happen typically. And you think, well, of course, if I'm psychic, I'm going to be able to avoid any bad relationship or bad job, or I'll just know I'll be able to follow my soul path without a hitch, right? Because you have that connection psychically to your guides. Not true. Not true. Because what happens is our brains get in the way. That's what happens. We're socialized. Many times it's pretty well known that children have, their imaginary friends, or that children have experiences where they may see their grandmother or their grandfather, or talk about a relative who has passed over, who's there with them. And as children, we just kind of shush them, or we maybe even play along with it and accept it as our children. But when you get to be school age, that's typically when all of that is stopped, when the real socialization starts happening, because you can't go into kindergarten and tell the young, your best friend next to you that your grandma is over there in the corner and she's so happy and proud of you. You can't do that. That's not going to go over well, right? So you start realizing, I can't talk about this stuff. This is not bringing me the kind of reaction that I want to have. Instead, I'm getting a reaction of, you're weird, or are you crazy, or, just not a good, positive reaction. So what we do as children is we tamp it down. We put it away. We put it on the back shelf. You don't want to look like an idiot. Nobody wants to look like an idiot. Nobody wants to look like they're crazy. So we hide that crazy part of ourselves. So that's the first thing that happens. The second thing that happens is school teaches us reason, right? They teach us that there are reasons for things, that there is a cause and an effect. They teach us science. They teach us to look for data. And so there's not really, at this point, there's more than you think, but there's not really data on spirits or ghosts or those kinds of things. It's not taught in our school clearly. So all of that gets put to the side. That's why the majority of us, and I'm looking at all of you, the majority of you put this away. And many times in the middle of your life, or maybe even the latter part of your life, is when you will wake up and start to have experiences, or you will start to embrace your intuition. If you're lucky enough to not have a super analytical mind, those people are the people that kind of skip through life somehow or another, always landing on the right stepping stone to get to the next right place, right? We all know people like that. And we think they're so lucky, that things just always fall into place for them. I'm going to tell you, those people are the people who don't have an over-exercised analytical mind. They may be an astrological sign that is not a Virgo, or not someone who just crunches the data all day long. And they may be someone who is a little more open to allowing this guidance to come in. Now, I'm telling you right now, they probably don't know. They probably don't know that this guidance is coming in. They just know that they trust their instincts. And if they're not, and number one, number two, if they're not happy someplace, they move on. They're not going to just, gut it out, and just stick with it. They're going to just say, this is no fun, and they're going to go to the next thing. But those people are being guided more easily than people like me. I'm a Virgo. I'm also a Cancer and a Capricorn. So I have these things ruling my personality and the gifts and challenges that I have. But I've always been one that likes data, that likes to prove this is right or this is wrong. So speaking to if you are psychic or not. So first of all, we all have the ability of intuition. We're born with intuition. That is our fight or flight ability to say, oh, I don't feel good here. I'm going to hurry up and get, back to my car. Or I don't know why, but I don't like this person. This person doesn't feel good to me. I'm not going to encourage a friendship with that person. That is your built-in GPS, intuition, guidance system right there. That is helping you be successful and live your life as safely, as successfully as possible. Now, take that one step further. And that's where we get into our psychic abilities. And back to the fact that even though I could see literally angels and all kinds of entities and things like that, I never thought I was psychic. Even when I developed and accepted and developed my ability, my mediumship ability, I thought, this is embarrassing to even admit, but I thought, gosh, I would love to be psychic. Y'all, this is so funny. I'm telling you. This is what they want me to do. They have to tell you guys all my secrets. So, hello, I'm psychic. I simply, literally blocked it. I blocked it. And for whatever reason, I was able to block that part of my abilities easier than I could block the part where these entities and energies and angels and spirits would come talk to me. Eventually, I did learn to block it all, and I spent a good portion of my life, literally, if you can imagine somebody creating a concrete block wall, that's what I created, and I blocked it. But as I mentioned in other videos, my guides had other plans for me. This is the time of my life when I'm supposed to accept this, and this is my mission, if you will. I agreed to do this. This is my contract. And so here I am. And that is happening with many of you watching this, right? So you start having these intuitions that are stronger than, say, I don't like that person, or I don't feel good here. I'm going to get out of this store, and don't you chide yourself when that happens? Don't you chide yourself and say, this is silly. Why am I acting like this? It's not silly. It's not silly. That is your divine connection, your divine guidance. Pay attention to it. It saves lives. It saves time. It saves energy. It keeps you on the right direction. It's important. I know all of you have a story where you listen to your intuition and it helped you. I know every single person does. But what we want to do is we want to tap into it a little bit more. We want to open up that channel and clear it, right? So to do that, you've got to remove any blocks. So if you've been spending your whole life, like I did, putting up blocks to this ability, you're not going to be able to just flip a switch and then boom, there it is. It's going to take a little bit of effort and maybe a little bit of time for you to begin to open those blocks up. But how you can do that, everybody's different. Everybody's block is different. But there are many tools, I should say. There's many tools that you can use to begin to do this. I'm being told to tell you about chakras. If you don't know about chakras, I don't want to go all the way into it because it's a big topic all in of itself. But our body has energy centers or chakras that go basically from the top of our head down to our pelvic area. And each one does something different. And they're important. They're life centers. They're energy life centers. And aligning your chakras can help you remove blocks. Okay, so that's number one thing that you should probably look into if you're watching this video, is align your chakras. You can do that very easily. There are millions of YouTube videos, free YouTube videos that have a way that you can do that. You can meditate, you can listen to music. Basically, they're self-guided. They'll walk you through imagining each of your chakras and help you understand how to clear them, right? It's really important. Now that I'm talking to you about it, I realize I haven't done it in a while, and it really, really, really can make you feel better. Of course, anything that I'm going to tell you is going to require you to have some time, alone time, to be able to do this. So that's the number one thing, right? Just being by ourselves and doing things for us is super important, right? That's self-care. So align your chakras. Number two, meditate. You don't have to just sit in a room and be quiet and get mad at yourself when your brain talks too much. That's really, that's counterproductive. What really the best way to start meditating, in my opinion, is to start listening to guided meditations on YouTube. You can close your eyes, find a quiet space, pick one that's 5 minutes. Don't try to overdo this. We don't want you to feel like you can't do it and fail because you've picked too long of a meditation or you've tried to do too much. They'd much rather you do something on a smaller scale and be successful. So pick a 5-minute guided meditation. Trust me, when you start listening to this guided meditation with your earphones or whatever, if you don't like it, stop it. If the voice is annoying, the music's annoying, whatever, stop the meditation and Google another one. Go to YouTube and find another one. Don't assume they're all bad. We're very unique, different people, and what I like, you may not like. What resonates with me may not resonate with someone else. So it's important that you find the person, the voice, the kind of meditation that you like, and then once you find that person, you'll see that they usually have many other meditations that you can then try. Why meditate? Because it stops the chatter in your brain so that your guides can get a message through to you. So another good way to get messages from your guides and to be able to open that space up to get messages from your guides is to do a hobby. Is there a hobby that when you do it, you are lost in it? Like for some people it's sewing, crocheting, gardening, exercising, walking in nature, walking in general, kayaking, canoeing, working on cars, working on art projects, making music, crafting, anything at all. It does not matter what it is. If you're doing it and you find that you just lose yourself in it and you lose track of time and you lose track of whatever's going on except for this particular activity, that is the perfect thing, because what happens is your brain, your analytical brain, is not engaged. You're simply just doing a rote thing, right? You're gardening, you're picking weeds out, or you're whatever. That's why when you're doing those kinds of things, your mind wanders and you kind of gently ruminate over things, but you don't get typically so worried about something that you stop doing that, right? If you're at that particular hobby for more than 5 or 10 minutes, if you're ruminating over something, it's a gentler kind of thinking, okay? And I would like to say that when that's happening, that's actually your guides kind of helping you see it from a different angle. How many times have you been doing a hobby of some sort and then come up with a really different idea about something? Maybe it's a different idea about how to handle a situation. Maybe it's a different idea about how to fix something. Maybe it's a different idea about how to move forward in your own life or give someone advice. Those are your guides. When you get information and you think, why, I don't know why I just thought that. That's the weirdest thing that I just thought that, but I just had this idea. That's your guides. That's your guides. That's different. That came in to you and it doesn't fit your typical framework of thinking, it's out there in left field, that's your guides giving you information. Step 3. We might be on step 10. I have no idea. But the next step is to honor that. Honor it. Thank them. I know you feel silly. I know it feels silly. We don't care anymore. We're just going to play along. So we're going to thank them, okay? Thank you, guides. Thank you, angels. Thank you for telling me that. Thank you for that information, okay? When you acknowledge that you received the information, what happens when someone throws a ball and the other person doesn't catch it? It falls on the ground. But if the other person catches it and throws it back, then you have a return of energy, right? You have a return of the ball. You have a return of energy. So when you thank your guides and you tell your guides, I got you, I heard you, that's interesting, I'm going to try to do that, I'm going to think about it, I'm going to do it, that's you're setting up the energy return back and forth from your guides. That's really important. Really important. I hear people saying energetically, I hear you saying, but I ask things all the time. I pray and I ask for guidance and I never get it. I never get guidance. Other people get it, not me. I don't get guidance. Okay, let's talk about that. Okay, I can tell you right now, they are trying to send you the guidance. What they're showing me is, don't ask me why they're showing me this, but it's like something hitting a tent. Like if you would imagine the really old trash cans, they used to be metal, and we had metal lids on top of the metal trash can. So what they're showing me is a lid over your head and things hitting it, or information hitting it and then bouncing off. So just, in other words, it can't get to you, right? It's not being able to get into your body. You've got a block. That's what's happening. If you feel like you can't get guidance, it's because you have a block. So you need to go back to step 1 and meditate, clear your chakras. And when you do get those little things, when something finally gets through, and let me back up and say, meditate, clear your chakras, do hobbies, do those things, get away from people, walk, take a drive. It doesn't have to be expensive. It doesn't have to be elaborate. You literally could get in your car and drive for 20 minutes just to have some peace, right? Just to have some peace. That's what you need to do to start getting rid of your blocks, okay? First of all, we want to acknowledge we want to get rid of our blocks, but we need to start doing some things ourselves to get them to clear up. So you're going to work on getting rid of your blocks. And then the other thing I want you to do, for those people out there that say, "It never happened," I have a friend. It never happens. I never get it. Okay, but I can point out to her situations where indeed she did get information that is not, you could not trace it to her typical thinking. You couldn't trace it to her typical actions. It came out of the blue. It came out of left field, and she took it into her soul and she actually acted on it, and it worked. So that was a situation where it worked, even though she says to this day she still doesn't get information from her guides. You're getting it. You're getting it. You have to be able to acknowledge that. That's why I want to put it in the framework of when you get an idea from left field, when something comes in and you feel like you need to do something that is not you, it's not something you would typically do, but you feel like that's what you need to do, then obviously it didn't come from you. If it's not something you would typically do, if it's not your personality, but yet you feel this urge to do it, that's your guides, people. So hopefully this has helped a little bit. Now, you can strengthen your psychic abilities by tuning in. So when I realized that I could talk to dead people, but I didn't think I was psychic, what happened was my guides started having me have psychic diarrhea. which is I know is a very ugly term, but I can't think of another way to put it, because what happens is that I would be talking to somebody, and out of my mouth would come something very personal about that person that nobody else knew, but yet I knew it, and I was telling them, everything's going to be okay with your mother. I didn't even know this person or know that this person's mother was sick or even alive or anything about this person, but yet I feel this urge to say, listen, dear, everything's going to be fine with your mother. And then they say, well, you don't even know me. I mean, how do you know that? I'm like, well, I don't know how I know that, but my guides have asked me to give you this message because I can see that you're in a lot of pain right now, and they want you to know that everything's going to be okay. You can rest easy. Okay, that started happening for me. I know that's happening to a lot of people because I'm hearing that it's happening to a lot of people. That all of a sudden you get knowings whether you say it or not. It's really better to not say it. It's really better to not say it. But if you get a knowing about a friend or a relative, you don't have to run out and tell them that. But it is a clue that your psychic abilities are coming on board. Okay? You can get information from your guides and also from loved ones that have crossed over via smells. I know many of you, this is really a common thing, that you have smelled a certain perfume that maybe your grandmother wore, or maybe your mother wore, or maybe you smelled cigarette smoke. That's a really, really common thing. So that is, you're connected. If you can smell cigarette smoke and no one is smoking, and you can smell it, even if nobody else can smell it, even if the person next to you cannot smell it, it doesn't matter. That message was for you. That's your guides and or your loved ones on the other side saying, hey, I'm around. I want you to know I'm around. I'm thinking about you. I'm with you, right? So these are all ways that you are psychic. You are connected. The most important thing is to acknowledge it. Even whatever small thing, even if it is, I'm going to go to work and I stop outside on the sidewalk and I go back in the house and I get the umbrella. And you're not even thinking. You're just not even thinking. But you do it. And then you find yourself holding the umbrella and you're thinking, why am I getting this umbrella? But you've already got it. So you go ahead and walk out to the car and you put it in the car. And then later that afternoon, when you're coming home from work, you go out of the door of the office and it is raining. And you think, that's why I brought the umbrella. Thank God I brought the umbrella. We never say that's why. We always say, thank God I have the umbrella in my car. Thank God I thought to do that. We never stop to think, why? Why did we think to bring the umbrella? Wonder if that's my guides. That's the step that needs to happen. To go from, oh, I'm so glad I have that, to acknowledging, oh, I'm so glad that they urged me, sent me the thought, however it happened, but they communicated to you to bring the umbrella. So these are things you can do to enhance your psychic ability, to acknowledge your psychic ability. Once you start doing these things and you start thanking your guides for the guidance, you'll start a relationship with them. It gets much easier. It's like if you think about something being rusty and trying to move, it's hard, right? And then when you use it a lot more, well, it starts being much easier to do, and then it just becomes very, very easy for you to do. So that's what needs to happen. Communicate back to your guides, thank them, acknowledge that you're getting the information, and then journal it. It's really important to journal it. If you don't like writing, which I don't like the physical part of writing because I can't read my handwriting, then you can talk. You can voice record it in your phone. Almost all phones have voice recorders. Always put the date. Always say, this is a message I got today. Or sometimes I'll even say, I was painting the living room and thinking about this other thing, and then I got this thought process about completely different, and then I think this is a message, so I'm going to write this down. And then you have a recording of it. The most fun thing to do is go back a year in the past after you've been doing this and read them or listening to them. It will blow your mind. It will blow your mind. I promise you. Your mind will be blown, because you're not even going to believe it. You're just not even going to believe it. You're going to see how these messages, even when you read them at that time, you thought, well, okay, this is about X, Y, and Z. Well, a year later, it's really about MLK XYZ, right? It's really much bigger information, much bigger scenario. So hopefully this has helped you. I hope it's inspired you to do these things and to acknowledge your guides and to acknowledge your abilities. And I will do another video on maybe, enhancing, some games you can play, some things you can do to actually enhance that communication back and forth from your guides. But in the meantime, I want to keep the video short. I hope you've enjoyed it. Please like the video if you did enjoy it. If you want to hear about more videos that I do, you can hit the subscribe button. That way you'll get a notice if there's a new video. And blessings to all of you all. I hope you're doing well, and I hope you're talking to your guides. Take care.